What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. With the huge jungle diversity now with the changes Riot has made to the jungle, there's a lot of really good reasons to pick some off-meta junglers. Off-meta or non-meta champions get an inherent advantage of being unpredictable and that the opponents will have no experience playing against your champion, and when your role has such a big influence on all of the lanes, that advantage can really go a long way. Now I'm not a big jungle player and so my jungle knowledge is quite limited, so I'm bringing in my good friend and fellow YouTuber Pants Our Dragon here to help me with this video.
Hey guys, what's going on? This is Pansar Dragon, a top 100 challenger player in North America and a League of Legends YouTuber, and I'm here to do some analysis of the champions listed in this video.
Awesome, it's great to have you. Take it away with our first champion, Jax.
Alright, so Jax has good clears in the jungle. He has his counter strike to negate a lot of damage in the jungle and has his W to auto attack reset. So he has a fair time clearing camps, and once he's level 6, his clears become even better since he has enhanced auto attack every third auto attack because of his ultimate passive. Alright, so now let's talk a little bit about Jax's ganks. So his ganks are actually pretty good because what he offers is a non-skill shot gap closer and a 1-second stun, and provides decent burst, but not as much as say someone like Lee Sin or Vi. But it does get the job done as he can stun the enemy, and if his laner has enough damage to take him out, then of course it's all good. And necessarily, when he does hit level 6, he does get added burst to his third consecutive auto attack, but it's mainly used for defense and it doesn't really help that much in ganks, only in little skirmishes or team fights. And speaking of skirmishes, how good does he do in those skirmishes, you may ask? Well, he's actually pretty decent. He can take up a lot of damage with his ultimate and counter strike, but usually in small skirmishes, it's the one who can burst out a target really quickly and then take out the rest. And Jax is more sustained damage, so in that category, he can take a beating, but he needs a little bit of time to rack up some damage. And in the early game, if you aren't level 6 yet, his skirmishing with the other jungler usually won't go too well for you if the other jungler is an early game jungler or a great duelist like Kha'Zix, Lee Sin, Vi, etc. The only way he can win is if he uses his counter strike to dodge all the auto attacks coming from the enemy, but once that's down, you don't really have that much to offer except for a few auto attacks. In teamfights, Jax still plays the role as a bruiser, and trying to take down the squishies and taking a lot of damage with his ultimate, and just doing a bunch of sustained damage with his W and R. Although if he's the first one going in, he should be prepared to have some hit point to soak more damage, otherwise he can be bursted down if he built more damage oriented. Now the biggest con about Jungle Jax is that he needs Triforce to be super effective. When playing him in the jungle, you're going to be a bit delayed since you won't have as much gold as a laner would. So your power spike is kind of delayed for a few more minutes than, say, a top lane Jax. But if you start snowballing, it shouldn't be a problem.
Jax is a pretty cool jungler. I watched quite a few pros pick him up on stream, and they were all really successful with him. Jax's carry potential is fantastic, and so I really like him as a pick for Soloqueue.
Next up we have Diana in the jungle. You know, she's actually pretty awesome in my opinion. Her clears are really good since she has AoE damage coming from her W, Q, and even passive. She even has a shield to negate some of the damage, and she does get 20% free attack speed from her passive. And since she's building AP, her clears will only get much more faster, and she'll take little damage since her shield also scales with AP. As for ganking, once she hits level 6, her ganks become incredibly strong, as she does have 2 gap closers and a lot of burst damage coming up front. In skirmishes early pre-6, her skirmishing isn't that great because she can't get in and burst someone out, she has to kind of walk up to them, and then she can easily be kited without her ultimate. But once she does hit level 6, that's when she can jump in onto enemies, burst them out with another ally, and then take them out quickly, so her skirmishing is actually pretty good, but only once she has hit level 6. In teamfights, she still acts as an AP assassin / bruiser, and trying to take out the squishies quickly, while also being fairly tanky with the shield coming from her W, and of course if she has Zhonya's. The only thing she lacks in the jungle is that she cannot really, as stated before, gank pre-6, and that she can easily be caught up by the enemy jungler since she doesn't have any escapes. And she's actually pretty reliant on some items like Zhonya's, Abysso, you know, for that mid-game power spike, so that can be delayed since she is in the jungle and not a laner. But once she gets level 6, she becomes a really strong jungler.
Now, Diana's probably my favorite jungler out of the group. My old roommate actually played a ton of Diana jungle, and it's a really powerful pick in Soloqueue that brings a great tanky AP damage force to a team, with tons of utility and crowd control that can really snowball with just a small lead.
Next up we have Gnar. So Gnar is actually pretty decent since he has maximum % health damage and has pretty decent clears and can kite them, and it helps when he turns into Mega Gnars to soak some damage plus do more damage. It also helps the fact that he can make really good use of the Cinderhulk plus Skirmisher's Saber, since he can frequently proc the Skirmisher's Saber in his ranged form. His ganks are actually pretty good since he has a decent gap closer and has a slow to chase down enemies, and he's ranged so the auto attacks keep coming, and so having damage plus decent CC plus the gap closer makes for a really good ganker. In Mega Gnar form, it's actually a bit harder to gank since he has a bunch of cast times, and unlike Mini Gnar, he can't hop off minions for extra distance for his gap closer. But if he can go from Mini Gnar into Big Gnar, of course that's going to be really good for those ganks, since he'll probably be close to melee range with the extra movement speed coming from Gnar's W to catch up with the enemy. In teamfights, he's going to be good even if he's doing a bit bad, since he has a bunch of CC in Mega Gnar form to initiate and lock down enemies, while also having great base damage in Mini Gnar form because of maximum % health damage coming from his W, and the spammable boomerang coming from his Q, or boulder toss. In 2v2 skirmishes or even 3v3, he has the range advantage, but if the enemy has a gap closer going onto Mini Gnar, he'll probably lose that duel since ranged champions have less stats than melee champions. But if he is turning into Mega Gnar, there's absolutely no one who can duel him in melee range, since he does get a bunch of free stats in Mega Gnar form, and of course has a bunch of CC in that form too. So not the best 2v2 in Mini Gnar form, but if he's turning into Mega Gnar form, it's definitely going to be a good fight. Now Gnar jungle definitely has some weaknesses in him. First up is that he doesn't have any sustain, so he's going to need a few health pots in the early level clears, but once he gets some levels in his Q, he can kite them efficiently and taking them out before they can reach him. And he kind of falls off late game just because he can't stay in Mega Gnar for the majority of the time. The damage on Mini Gnar does fall off, and he's actually kind of useless in Mini Gnar form, since if you're actually a ranged champion at that point, you should do some damage. Basically, both Mini Gnar and Mega Gnar's base damage does fall off a bit later in the game. And also Mega Gnar form does not contribute to the bonus health % coming from Cinderhulk, so that kind of sucks, but I mean, it's whatever.
Gnar is the jungler of the group that I haven't really seen too much, but I do remember Meteos commenting on how he thought Gnar was a hidden OP jungler for Soloqueue, and although he might be a bit difficult to play, he's got a lot of power and has so much utility and presence with his kit.
Next up is going to be Malphite. So Malphite is a champion that excels greatly in the jungle as his clears are excelente, since he reduces the camp's attack speed and has a shield to negate some of the damage, along with a lot of AoE damage coming from his E and W and Cinderhulk. And since he scales with health on his passive, it's got great synergy. His teamfight of course will always be strong as the amount of CC he can bring, and AoE damage will be beneficial in any teamfight. And he still has utility, so if he's doing bad, he can still do work. And definitely, when against a lot of physical damage, he's going to be a huge threat in the game since all he has to do is build armor, and he gets a lot of benefits coming from his W and E with armor. In small skirmishes, pre-6, he's not that great since he doesn't have an initiation and can't gap close an enemy fast enough. Once he hits level 6, that adds a good amount of burst damage and initiation onto the enemy team, and usually you'll come out on top with an ally, since you did get the first strike. And it's probably going to be pretty hard to take you down, so if you're the first one going in and taking up all that damage, it's going to be good. Although what sets Malphite back is that he cannot really do anything pre-6, as the only thing he can do is throw a rock and try and catch up to the enemy who's running away. But after that, there's not much follow-up CC since he doesn't have his ultimate, so it might be wise to wait until you're level 6 and gank. But honestly, that's his only flaw. Everything else, he excels at being a great jungler, especially with Cinderhulk in the game.
Malphite I like a lot since his level 6 ganks are like the freest kills ever, and his teamfights are great, so even if you're behind you get to be super useful just because you're Malphite, and so it makes him quite easy to play and gives you a lot of playmaking potential as well, which is great. As we wrap up, I want to give a huge shout out to Pansar Dragon for helping me with this video. His jungle knowledge is a lot better than mine, and this video would not have been possible without him. You can check out his channel below with my link in the description, so check him out, give him some love, and subscribe to him for sure if you're looking for some top-notch jungle guides. Anyways, my name is Jeremy, and that's going to be it for our video on off-meta junglers that are great picks for Soloqueue. Hey guys, it's me, Jeremy. Thanks for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, definitely make sure to hit that like button so I can tell, and if you're interested, definitely check me out on all the socials, of which you can see over there. And if you really enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe for some more awesome content in the future, as well as you can check out some of my other videos up here and over there. Anyways, that's going to be it. Thank you so much for watching, and of course, I'll see you guys next time.